know that you get paid for the value you bring to the marketplace. And if you've not mastered your skills, that is a big problem. So we're here to transform how users interact with education, content, making more immersive, personalized, and above all, fun. Education must be fun, right? So we already made introductions. I'm not going to get too much into it already, but it's John and myself and different professors around the UK and students have showed interest to join us in this project. And really, the goal is to bring all these different creators in education to revolutionize education once we're all through gaming. Right. Now, let's get to the heart of what really matters in this project, okay? Our vision is to simply transform education one subject at a time with AI-powered video games for immersive skills mastery. That's our vision. We're going to transform education one subject at a time. We won't be able to do it all in one go, but we're going to start with programming, Python, data, AI, and so on and so forth. And then we got to get to the point where we will have plenty of subjects into our game that essentially a university program can be born out of it. The goal is to love learning through gamification. And I'm not sure if we have any gamers in the room, but how many times you've gone hungry playing a video game, right? Because it's so sticky, it sticks so much, it's so involving, so exciting, so engaging that essentially it sticks to us, like glue, right? And so you can also do a little test with your nephews or nieces or sons or daughters or whatever while they're playing the video games on their tablets and iPads and so on. Just get it away from them and you will see what happens. You won't believe. You won't even recognize and understand your own nephews or nieces or daughters and sons. They'll go crazy. They'll go mental because that's just how much engagement, students and kids get with gaming in the world today. And so there's nothing else really gets them as engaged as gaming. And as a result, we need to bring in gamification into education, but not through little quizzes and activities, but actually through a full video game, right? And what's the outcome? The outcome is essentially skills mastery through memory retention, inspiring consistent learning, making education both accessible and delightful for everyone. So in other words, we want to make it easy for students to master skills by repetition. And the reason why gamers around the world do so well with gaming is because they repeat. They fail a stage, they come back again, they have another plan, they have another idea, and then go. Think about your Super Mario game or one of your first games you've ever played in your lives, right? You really got better by repeating it. So repetition is absolutely key in mastery of skills. But the problem in education today, and I've been on it for over 2 decades now, just like most of you in the call, right? And things have not changed a lot. It's still death by PowerPoint, some workshops here and there, but it's really not there. And as a result, we need to do something about it, right? Now, this project, I'm going to make it very simple. We got 3 key milestones that we're working towards. Our first working prototype that we aim to create to teach students how to program in Python is 20th of May 2024. The second milestone in the project is an AI-powered personal buddy that helps you grow while you're playing the game and mastering a skill of coding with Python. And then our goal in our key milestone is to have at least a target of 10 students who master their skill, AI skill, Python and AI skill, by 15th of July 2024. These are just some rough key milestones that we're aiming towards. But our focus is to ensure that we have been able to build a very simple, very straightforward game that will essentially teach students how to program in Python, and then we move on to other subjects as well. That's the goal for it, right? Let's get into it. What do we need to make this happen? Well, It won't come as a surprise to you. We need game designers. We need software developers. We need UI, UX designers involved. We also need AI data engineers. And we also need social media ambassadors, because our goal is to have students and professors talk about our project widely across social media, so we have more and more attraction from others, right? And the goal is, again, to make a difference into the learning in the world today. So all of you that are involved in the call now, and everyone that you know that has got experience and skill and excitement and passion in all these key fields, then please don't hesitate to come forward, and please contact John directly, who's looking on and managing the logistics behind it and the process behind it, so that we can build up a team as soon as possible, because we want to get down to work. Right, so project processing tools. Now, just to give you an idea, that we're going to be using and rely mostly on Google ecosystem to actually design, prototype, launch, and improve the first game. It's going to involve Google Chat, Google Drive, Google Docs, Unity for game development, and then Twitch, Discord, Reddit, GitHub, YouTube, TikTok, and Steam as well. These are some of the mix of tools we're going to be using to develop this game, develop this project. Now, designing a game is hard and it's challenging, right? Mainly because there's so many elements to it. It's the design, it's the game mechanics, it's the coding, it's the testing, and so on and so forth. It's the content development. There's so many things involved, which is why we've opened up this project for all of you to get involved, but actually invite other people who you think can make a difference to this project, because this project would actually make the world a better place, okay? What we'd like to do now, I hope the link works, and if you don't have any questions, I'm going to jump into Google Jamboard in here just to show you a rough idea about how we see at the beginning of this project now, and also to invite you to interact with us into this whiteboard, because this is going to be open to everyone. So once you join in and click on that link, you will be able to get involved with all of us. We already started quickly just to bring in some key elements to them. But we want you to interact and engage with us from day one, because that's how we want to run this. This is not a one-man band thing. This is a team effort. And only by joining forces, we're going to be able to make a difference. Otherwise, we won't be getting anywhere. So I'm going to try and do that now. You've got the same set of slides. You will be able to click on the link to get to Jamboard. Just click on it, and it's going to be open to everyone. Every single one of you can see it. And what I'm going to do, I am going to stop sharing this. I'm going to share the Jamboard instead. So let me get to this again. I'm going to share the. Okay. Yeah, can you see my screen now?
No, your screen is not showing.
Okay, so let me just do this window. Yeah, share this window. So you should be able to see
Yes.
my screen. So again, as I said to you all, there is a link in the presentation that you all have access to. You can click on it, and our goal is to really start interaction straight away. We don't need to wait. We don't need to do anything. And what we want to do, we want to get your input on everything. We want to get your input on game development, game mechanics, coding, user journeys, and also naming for our app. What we should be aiming this thing, right? We got some ideas and some thoughts and so on and so forth. But we want to just start this quick interactive session. And also, I know that it's a weekend. You've all been working very hard throughout the week, and maybe you don't want to spend too much time on Saturday evening. So we will stop whenever you feel like you've given your thoughts and ideas to it. So now that you can see my screen again, you can interact with it yourselves if you want, because that's the goal behind it anyway. So what I've got here is a very simple, diagram in a sense that, like, how do we see this thing going forward? Of course, the key goal in here we've got is the game development, and then going forward, there's obviously two key elements to this: coding the game, and then looking at different programming language we're going to be using. Also looking at the role of how user journeys and wireframes will be designed to be able to put the game together. We're then going to be looking very, very closely on game mechanics. And of course, when it comes to game mechanics, we strongly believe that, immersive and role-playing games as well, but adventure games as well, make a big difference. So this is an area where we're open to, just like everything else, really, we're open to talk to you about how we see that going forward, then designing game elements, generating content, and ultimately also deciding what are we going to name this special project. Right, any questions, any comments?
Nothing from me.
Anyone else has got any questions? Have you been able to access the link? You can join me in this page if you like. Again, the goal is to try and make it open for all of you to engage with it and to get started with it, because it's just an early stage of our project, and our goal is to put the team together. It's going to help us build the very first version of our game. Once we've done that, then we'll get to the marketplace, and then once we have attraction to the game, then obviously we'll move to the next stages of raising money and so on and so forth, and giving it a proper shape in terms of logistics and the legal perspective as well.
Prof, Dr. Derry is raising her hand.
Yeah, sure.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
For the presentation. Now, my question is, gamifying university courses. Are you targeting specific courses, or it can go around all the courses in the university eventually? Even courses that are not AI related or ICT related?
That's a great question. We're going to be targeting all the courses. We're just starting with the courses that are the most topical now, because especially the program courses and learning Python and Java and CSS, all these things are very topical. Of course, learning and helping students learn more about machine learning and data, and then making sense of data and so on and so forth, so they can bring change to the marketplace is critical. But we're going to be expanding on other subjects as well. I mean, I'm going to be bringing in my e-commerce subjects, my mobile business, social media. We're going to bring all the subjects that we need to be able to get closer to actually having enough subjects, and hopefully, God willing, enough credits as well. So at some point, we will find a way to get, this whole process, these whole subjects accredited. So when these students master these skills, then actually will be awarded with a degree as well. But of course, this is the next stage. Yes. So I hope it answers your question.
Yes, it does. I'll be looking forward to gamifying.
Yes, that would be great. That's
finding pathways. So
we super excited, because really this will not work if we don't have academics on board. Let's be honest. I mean, it won't work if we don't have students on board as well, because this is going to be done by students, by academics, for students, and for academics and professionals. In other words, it's between us. So each and every single one of us will then jump on board once we have a very first, platform, gamified platform. You're going to be having an opportunity to join in and actually start creating and generating content, put that into our platform, and so then it can be turned into a fun, engaging game, so that you can get students involved with it as well.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your question. Anyone else?
Yes, Dwayne is raised this.
Yes, Dwayne here. Just a quick question. So, from the founder's perspective, so I believe it's with you and John.
Yeah.
What angle are you approaching this from? Is it going to be sort of a VR sort of interactive sort of thing, or is it going to be a PlayStation, Xbox, computer based sort of? How have you the first step? How does it look in your heads, so we kind of know the kind of direction that we need to be thinking on?
I think for now, we're gonna have to think about very simple and really basic sort of like game that'll be done through smartphones, tablets, and so on and so forth. So I think the Xbox, and that's, I mean, obviously we absolutely want to go there. I mean, we want students to be learning while they're interacting, going on an adventure, doing something, absolutely. But we all know that kind of game, it's, you're looking at millions to get it going. So
okay, so essentially you're looking at a gaming app, so an application that can be downloaded on various platforms. Okay, correct. So if we're looking for an app-based game, have you thought of I want to say the concept of how it looks? So when we look at, I don't know if you've heard of Temple Run.
I heard of Temple Run. No, okay. I've not been on it, but I've heard, yeah.
Okay, so there's a game like Temple Run, or you're looking at Tetris, or you're looking at chess. So there's various types of games. So what structure are we looking at for that type of game? Is it something that's a bit more strategic in its movements? Is something a bit more adventurous? Something that's built around sports or action? Have you kind of thought about what that might look like?
Yeah, so I've been in touch with some of my contacts, people I worked with in the past on different projects, both e-commerce and gaming as well. Mm-hmm. And some of these guys work from quite some big agencies that design games, right? And we came to a conclusion that really adventure kind of games and role-playing games as well are absolutely critical. For instance, if someone wanted to learn e-commerce and how to get started with an e-commerce shop online, the goal is to actually get them into an environment where they have to think about, picking a niche product for the marketplace, picking up a name, then picking up products and so on and so forth. In other words, like a role-playing game and adventure games have come up as game mechanics very popular in all the discussions I've had with some of these game designers who specialize in gaming. I mean, like really big games, but and we were joking a while ago because I was asking them for some feedback and so on and so forth, and they don't find education exciting enough, and I do, but they don't find so I was trying to get them buy in to help me with the game and say, we'll help you, we'll guide you, we'll do all that stuff, but we're into other types of games, right?
Yeah.
So
okay, so we have to think of a way to make Python a bit more adventurous then.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, I'll get back to you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. You're welcome. Anyone else? Any questions? Any comments?
Well, I get the gist of what you're trying to achieve, but it will be useful maybe to have a prototype at least. Then it will give a guide, so there will be consistency in moving forward with all the other models that you'll be doing. Because although I get the gist, I'm a visual person, so if I can see maybe a mini example, interactive, then at least
thank you so much. I'm just like you. I'm a visual guy. I mean, I'm just like you, and so our goal is really now to talk about the project and put the team together of students that have shown interest, and also professors around the UK that have shown interest, to actually get started with a very first, minimum viable product, like the basic thing, because then things will be a lot easier to even modify, change, because like with any project, when you've got the biggest thing is to have a draft. When you have a draft, then you can sit back and you can refine it. But at the moment now, we don't have a draft yet. We don't have a minimum viable product yet. Once we have that, we can see visually what happens with the game. Of course, it'll be a lot easier. And I'm pretty sure that all of you will have a lot more ideas and a lot more things to bring to the table. But at the moment, the stage we are now is just very, very early stage where we have spoken to students around the country, we've spoken to professors, they all showed interest. So what we're doing now, we started with these calls to essentially grasp people's interest that want to be involved with the game and transform education once for all. Anyone else, any questions, any comments?
From the business point of view, from the economic point of view, how will that be in terms of economic feasibility of that, and in terms of difference? Yes, I appreciate that. Many people will like. In terms of the target, what will be the target audience, and how we talk about the viability of that?
So we were talking about this with John last week, right? What we're looking for in terms of the numbers, once we have a fully working game, our goal is to have around 10 to 12,000 learners every year. And we are thinking at the moment, at this stage, to offering a similar pricing model and similar subscription service to what Coursera does. Coursera.com is one of the largest, online platform teaching students different topics from AI to project management, right? So our goal is to look at the pricing model whereby, for instance, students would be mastering, let's say, e-commerce or like Python for like £49, okay? And then if they want to have access to more than 10 courses throughout the year, they'll be paying maybe around $4.99 or like $5.99, something like that. And then, now that you're into numbers, you can look into that and then make up some calculations and then actually get to the point where we can, if we have a working, very exciting, engaging game, we can actually quite quickly get to thousands of students who will subscribe to it. Because, when we look at the fees for, education in the UK today, you're looking anywhere from 10 to 12,000 or more a year, right? But what we're talking about now is essentially you can be paying anywhere from £600 to £700 a year, and you can be mastering 10 different skills. So essentially, in a way, you can really get ahead of anyone else that goes even at university, right, doing this. And if you're at the university and still doing this, you'll be ahead of the game. So in terms of numbers, we would be looking at having maybe 2 to 3 plans in our platform. Number one, maybe just a model where students would pay for mastering one skill, one subject, or they can pay for mastering maybe 10 to 12 skills or subjects every year. And for the first one, we're thinking about anywhere from, 40 to 50 pounds, something like that. For like mastering more than 10 skills, maybe like around 500 something pounds a year. So, and then once you end up having, more than thousands of students, then this will be financially viable. But of course, after the investment of developing the game and testing and so on and so forth, we're probably looking at having anywhere from 10 to 12,000 students every year for that to break even and actually make some profit as well. I hope that makes sense. I don't mind once we have finalized some stats, some financing. We've got some project calculations as well already that we've done last week. But like once we refine them, I don't mind sharing them with you and just giving you a better gist of it. But what I've said is exactly what's on those numbers anyway. So you're looking, our target is, once we have a fully working, to have at least 10 to 12,000 students learning it. And then if you've got those who pay anywhere from, like 45 to 50 pounds per subject, or like maybe £5.99 or £600 for 12 subjects, then essentially you'll have a pretty good number of students that can bring you maybe around 1 million of sales every year. And then if we're looking at developing a game, which could be a massive cost, but like especially developing content and so forth, but we can break even in the first year if we manage to have at least anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 students a year. But our goal is to have at least 10 to 12 learners or students every year. Yeah.
Rob, can I add to your response? Thanks for that, Anthony. That's a very good question. Another angle we're looking at is social value. So we have to be careful trying to sell in pounds to people from, say, Ismail Zamfara, Timbuktu, Addis Ababa, or people even in the UK that are living in socio-economically deprived area. So we've been in talks with CEO of big charity organizations who are quite interested in upskilling kids that have been socially economically deprived for whatever reason without going into it. In some cases, we've identified over 20,000, even in the UK, that may not be able to afford ABC. So it will be completely free for people that can afford it. So because it's important to understand that additionality of social value, which is kind of CIC, social enterprise, is very important. We have to look after those. More or less, I won't call it free education, but there will be a freemium version.
Yeah.
And AI will identify and verify odds purely to data-driven. So there'll be statistics each and every stages of development. But the first key stage in digital transformation is what we call maturity analysis. So we would also need people that are not coders. Professors maybe from University of Ilorin, like Professor Dr. Atenuke, and they can involve in research to identify, and we could provide infrastructure in terms of whatever is needed, devices for data gathering, data processing, and training of modules. But that is core to this. So we've had interested people that would, CEOs that are looking after people of, well, let me call it disability, and they're quite interested in how that also takes shapes. I hope that answers your question. That's the second additionality to having packages. Obviously charging for that.
Okay. Thank you very much, John, for that. If you look at the product verticals, I'm trying to imagine the product verticals now, things that will really come up. How, in terms of the user journey, what would be typically, because one, I think Professor, I don't know whether Adorinola said something about, who was talking about the doing for biochemistry also with the university. So I'm thinking, my thinking of her, thought is maybe helping to develop content for her students, maybe biochemistry students. But from what is happening now, what I'm seeing, it appears we are providing a platform. It's more like a platform for different learning, projects. So I'm trying to see what would be the product verticals be, if you can, in terms of the user. What would be somebody in terms of the vision you have for people to learn if it's a learning platform? Is it just learn to code or learning for different specific subjects?
Let me wrap it up. We can call it upskilling the gaps. You see, each and every one, including us, have gaps in some areas. Some may want to be digital literacy. Some people may want to learn about AI. They might even want to get their foot into big data. So it's all about upskilling. The biggest room is room for improvement. But obviously, we have to start with area of specialization, like Prof mentioned, where most of the Gen Z would rather they learn coding. Even kids are now learning coding. I wouldn't go into the dynamics of that because of time. So let's start with things that can be borrowed and widely used across board. So not just university. University students learn coding. It could be Python, whatever it's called. Kids in secondary school learn coding. Let me give an example of upskilling. In a borough in London, I don't want to be throwing names. I was involved in upskilling kids. 9-year-old developed an app for that borough. And they were given not only an award, a lot of stipend from the House of Commons is published. 9-year-olds were able to create an app to solve socio-economic problems within that. So there's a lot of things. So it will evolve, and that's all I have to say. Doing sound is up, so yeah.
So, but sorry from taking off. From what you have now, it appears that it's more digital focused, more of digital skills, not necessarily bringing in or gamifying the different subjects, maybe biochemistry, physics, for teachers to teach. Bring it. So it's more like in terms of learning, strictly within the digital space. Is that correct?
Let me answer that question straight. We have more than enough resources, labs, lectures, and so on and so forth, even projects that are live in Python. So it'll be easier, and a lot of students in uni, because of AI, machine learning, data science, Python is the subject of the future. So we have a lot of students that are joining in now. They all learn Python. They must learn Python. I teach mathematics in university. I teach mathematics, statistics, mathematics for computing. So we know what most of the students would learn, because the future workforce will rely on AI or machine learning. So we don't want to be starting with a subject like, I don't want to mention any subject, but eventually the expert in that area, like Dr. Daring, would provide insight, maturity analysis, and obviously content of lab or lectures or tutorials, which has to be ready to test that. So they're experts in that area. So we have to start with what will go across the board. You can teach Python to 3-year-old. I don't want to say that, but limited to digital stuff. It will evolve.
I think the reason why we mentioned the digital stuff is simply because that's the area where we know best. That's the area where it's mostly needed for upskilling people. And that's the area that is essentially changing everything else. I mean, AI now is in the heart of everything, in the heart of traffic lights, airlines, everything you can think of. So what we want to do, we want to help upskilling people around the country, around the world, eventually, that is going to be essentially ready for the next era, for the next AI era. Because let's be honest, AI is going to take a lot of jobs. I mean, we don't want to get into it's getting already, but like when people say, oh, well, it's gonna change some jobs and this and that and so on, he's gonna change pretty much all of them, right, at some point. And so it's better to realize the fact now that this thing is gonna change the world, and if we don't upskill people, we're gonna have a massive, huge economic problem around the world. So we hitting the problem right in the head when you think about this, because once you've helped people, master the skill on data, AI, or e-commerce, or like user journeys, or like all sorts of, or like game development, so on and so forth. Once you've done that, then you've given them a tool to essentially revolutionize or reinvent any part of the industry that they want to be involved with. In other words, you're going to help all these youngsters to actually be upskilled for what's coming next. Because let's be honest, universities are not doing it. They try, but they're not doing it. Because we all know what skills students that graduate have, and we also know what the industry wants. And I'm involved with industry all the time. I've designed programs at university. I've designed different courses at university in collaboration with employers out there. And I'm telling you right now that they're not happy, because what's happening is that now, because of the tight budgets, employers are actually, investing less and less in training. They want graduates to be ready for work. Most of them are not. Even the first class students are not to bring a change. So what we've got requirement industry here, students are here. Big businessmen, we need to upskill them so they're at the same level, so they can go back in the industry and make a difference. But now, fortunately, it's all hats off when they graduate and everything is happy. And the next day, majority of students are depressed because they don't know what to do.
Dwayne.
Yeah, thank you, John. I just want to say it's great that you guys have a forward-thinking projection of, you know, where your finances are and how many students you're looking to accumulate over a period of time. But we need to focus on first base, first base is who are we targeting? Would it be data analysis? Would it be children, people looking to start with Python? So where's our first base? Once we figure out the first base, we need to figure out what those people are interested in, how to make the game more interesting to them. Once we've seen how that works, we can then scale it to science, to various other places. So I think we need to now narrow it down into the reason why we're here, which is, where do we start from? Who are we targeting? Who is our audience? What's the age demographic? Are we looking at someone at beginner level, intermediate level? Where are we starting from? So I think for the coming meeting, now that we all sort of have an idea of what you're looking to do, let's narrow it down.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne. There's I think a suggestion in the chat. So if everyone can read that, that's an interesting suggestion from a student, a year one student called Priors. Priors, do you want to read that out yourself? Let's hear your voice.
Yeah, good idea. I can't look at the chat, unfortunately.
Yeah. Anyway, let's continue. Any other questions?
Do you have funding? For the initial funding for this project?
Right. Let me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead, John.
Okay. In terms of funding now, no, but there's a potential for funding from Santander Bank. I've been given a stipend for helping a number of students and a number of kids from socio-economically deprived background. And I've been requested by the Santander Bank to come back if I have any reasonable project that could upskill them, because I've helped quite a number of students. Actually, some of my students with first class, unable to get a job, were upskilled. Those from socio-economic deprived background, playing football, unable to become footballer, trained as Python developer, then junior development, are now working in the city. So that was recognized by Santander Bank through University of London, Bebek. So, and I was giving some money to prepare that. It's a stipend, very small amount of money, but that opening is there for bigger projects, which is how funding works. Also, in terms of local charity heads, they're quite interested in that because the funding system in most boroughs are broken. So I've been in talks with members of parliament, ambassadors that I've met in House of Lords, and they're quite interested, but they need to see a demo. Nobody funds IT project without a demo or a prototype. Nobody is going to fund that. People don't fund proposals here. So that's the problem. Yeah, so yeah.
And I think I was going to just quickly get to the focus where our target is. Of course, our target are the youngsters now. Students are our target now. So students and youngsters anywhere from 16 to 25 years old, something like even up to 30. That's our target, right? And as John said, our goal now is, because we don't have any funding at the moment now, is to actually, gather our forces together and actually try to identify all the skills that we need to actually put the very first, game together so that we can show the people. I mean, imagine what this meeting would have been like if we actually had a game to show you. so it'll be very, very different. So, but we are where we are now, right? And so we want to work with people like yourselves who are open-minded, visionaries with ideas and thoughts that love, changing this world for the better. Because let's be honest, university education is broken too. Just like, funding, university is broken.
Okay.
We know it, it's just.
Yeah, sorry, I'm asking
Yeah.
a few more
Yeah.
questions. So one thing I'll ask again, in terms of the legal structure, the business structure, what I know John did mention something about charity. What sort of business structure do you have in terms of social enterprise or pro enterprise, and then how do you, in terms of if you have, in terms of you form a company, you should have that. How do you, in terms of getting investors, are you considering investors? At what point have you thought about from that economic point of view and legal structure?
I think when it comes to legal structure, it'll be a business, but it'll always have the social element to it. It always have. And as John rightly said, we're gonna have a premium service for those students who are interested to learn but they're unable to do that. We'll have systems put in place to verify all of those things, but it'll be a business with a social element, a social enterprise to it at the heart. Because our goal is not just here. This is bigger than money making. Of course, as a business needs to make money, but this is a vision that we want to bring into that actually makes the world better prepared for what's coming with the era of AI, right? And so it'll definitely be a business. It'll have the heart of social enterprise now. As we said earlier, in terms of funding, we're going to be joining our forces, our own time that we've got available to put together the very first app, and then we're going to go and start raising funds. It's going to be through different sources, whether it's Santander or any other source where we can get the funds to actually put the very first version together. Once we have that MVP together, once we put in the marketplace, and once there's the traction and really good feedback, then we can go to the next level of raising more money to scale it and make sure that we can introduce other subjects and other interests from other backgrounds and industries as well. John?
Right. Prof, let me add to that so that we can wrap up because of time. Anthony, I'm sure maybe similar to some of us in this forum. I've never worked for a company, no matter how big, that don't have a CSR. All the companies I work for, from Champs in Nigeria to all the companies in the UK, they have a CSR unit. So, but we are looking at stronger social value to touch all kids from socio-economically deprived area. I would want, and I'm sure it's the same with any one of us, a kid in Zamfara or anything to have infrastructure, tablets or Raspberry Pi, and be able to upskill within their remix with limited resources. So this is the key thing. So we shouldn't worry about that. The core is the social value. However, any project will require funding, budget. So we have to come from a budget point of view, unless we want to deceive ourselves, especially platform projects. It runs into tens of thousands of pounds. Even the maintenance will be more. So because of time, can we have one more question from the floor? If not, Prof, can you round up, please? And then we will share the video and share all other resources. You would have a platform, WhatsApp pages, many other information which we would share.
Yeah.
Any other question from anyone? Any comments, please?
Yeah, another question, but I can say definitely once a prototype has been put together, you can then further value where the mission is. So how you want to charge it, how you want to price it, how you want to present it. Places like councils, governmental public places will fund something like this, because at the moment there is a crisis within the UK, especially for students and young children and underdeprived areas. This is something they would latch onto very quickly. I can tell you directly now from Islington Council, they are pumping a lot of money into development from small businesses to startups to children, especially because as you mentioned earlier, a lot of employers are expecting people to come out of studies already having work experience, which is impossible. So this sort of project is going to give these kids a head start. And again, my children are under 5. By the time they reach their mid-teens, the work that's available is going to be shifted into AI, into computing, into data and analysis. So we're prepping these young kids for after we've gone to how the world is going to shift economically. So yeah, once we get the prototype, we can then say, here's the value of it. Here's where we can take it moving forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let me just, I'm just trying to reiterate what both of you just said. I've been in IT for almost like, I can say 30 years. I've been in IT. I started IT as soon as I finished my university. I'm almost 60 years. So I've been in IT for 30 years. I've started in COBOL programming. And today I've been working in the ERP with SAP. And my energy these days is for me to tap in also to AI. Even I'm my 60 now. I'm doing my best to start learning AI. And I think this idea that John and RG they brought in, I think is very good things. And as John mentioned, there's no company, even in Africa, where company they don't invest in the CSR. CSR is a key point where any company, even in Africa, I just went to a project in Africa where any company invests on any things that is coming as a new skill. AI is everywhere now. Okay, so as long as the idea is in place and the pre-prototype, we call it pre-prototype, is in place, I think at that level we should be able to go and present. In UK, myself, I've worked with a Learning Skill Council in the past. Even I was in IT, I did work in the voluntary sector where the Learning Skill Council UK, they invest money to try to approach how some social community, why are they not involved on the new technology? So there's a people around, there's a lot of organization, especially in UK, that's going to tap in, they're going to come. If we are ready to prepare something that is going to leverage the skill of a new graduate. Myself, I train a lot of new graduates from university. I train them to be useful in the job market because a lot of people they train, they come with degree, master degree, they are useless. They can't do anything on the first 6 months at work. So my job, I train a lot of graduate people. Some people come with master degree, they don't know nothing, even in IT. So I train them and I show them the trade of the business for them to join, especially in SAP. Anyone does not have enough money to go to join SAP training. SAP training is very expensive training. So I train graduate people, I train them, and then I made a CV for them. I help them to start a job. So these days, if someone come with a young person come with an AI skill, any job they'll need them. Anywhere they'll need them, especially with a Python. Python, everyone. People doing sport, people doing business, they need Python. If someone as a young age already know how Python works, he could, even if he's in 18, company they will need them because any company now need these Python skills. So I think we're at the right place. Let's bring our idea down. And it's very difficult to start thinking about business because this is not really to start with business minding. Is it first of all, put the platform around, bring idea, people coming from different background, bring idea how this skill can be useful for your domain. Then after that, we can start thinking about business that otherwise we can't start anymore.
Yes, thank you very much. I think we have to wrap up. I have to thank each and everyone that is involved. Prof, can you thank people? I've seen some counselors. Actually, my local counselor, she's joined in, but I wouldn't want to mention her name. She's very private. So we have government people on board. Thank you, VD. Do you want to say a word or you prefer to be in the background? Okay. Can we wrap up Prof. So,
Yeah. So what I was gonna just
1 minute,
just
yes, please.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, to wrap up in 1 minute instead of
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, that's fine. All right. So I just want to thank every single one of you for joining in. This was absolutely fantastic. It was great. It was, very, very, passionate, but also most important, lots of things to think about. Again, this is just the starting point. But without the start, we're not going to be able to get anywhere. The longest journey starts with the first step. And our goal is to have a team that helps us put the prototype together. Then everything else will make sense. So everything would follow. And so I'm hoping that we've given you a clear picture of what we're trying to do. And we look forward to working with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice evening. You will hear from us. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Nice to you all.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Rajan.
Thank you all for being in.
Thank
you.
you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.